What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916, getting down fresh out. You know how we do it over here. I got a special guest today, Thomas Baca from New Mexico, flew all the way out to do the interview. So we're gonna get right into it. Thomas, let's get your story, man. The people have been, asking like, your interview's coming up. So let's get some background about you.
Yeah, hey guys, I was born in Orange County, California. Moved to a small city called Moreno Valley. At the age of 14, got caught up in some stuff. Ended up going to the juvenile hall system. Went through a camp called Twin Pines. Escaped from there. I just did a whole bunch of stuff in the juvenile hall system. I evaded California Youth Authority. I know you went to YA. I evaded YA. I ended up going to the adult system as a juvenile and ended up doing 6 months in a place called Banning Correctional Facility.
So what was the juvenile facility? What did you end up going to the juvenile facility for?
Yeah, I went to the juvenile. You know what? We got caught in a house and hanging out with the wrong crowd. Ended up getting locked up. I was 14 years old. I went to Riverside County Juvenile Hall from Moreno Valley. Took me in there. My dad elected to go ahead and have me stay in juvenile hall. He didn't want to take me back, so they're like, "Oh, let's put him in a placement or a group home." I ended up saying, "I don't want to go to the placement or group home because they're going to be 8 months to a year." And then I'm like, someone had told me in there that, "Oh, there's a boot camp called Twin Pines in Idlewild," and so I was like, "Oh, wow!" And that one's 6 months. So then I ended up asking my public defender, "Hey, can I go do a boot camp in Twin Pines instead of the placement?" And they said, "Yeah, go ahead and you can do that." So they sent over a couple of guys to interview me at the juvenile hall, and then I went over off to Twin Pines.
So was that kind of like a military school, kind of like a military camp where you had to, it was like a structure to try to rehabilitate you?
It was a boot camp for rehabilitation, so pretty much trying to restructure you and had you running 3 miles a day, doing all kinds of military activities and everything. I ended up escaping from that place, so I took off from that place. That was a bad decision that I made. I had got there. I probably wasn't fluent in the juvenile hall system yet. I got there. Everyone was twice my size. It was a lot of fights left and right. So I was like, I'll just dip and. Look, someone in there had told me that if I go ahead and escape, that if I go to New Mexico, that I would be able to, and if I turned 18 and I went to New Mexico, that it would all go away. Like, in other words, they couldn't do anything if you were an adult with your juvenile record. I still to this day don't know if that's true because I got caught and went back.
Okay. So what happened as far as leading up to you getting caught to catch your next case?
I got out of the juvenile hall system. My parents wanted to move me to New Mexico, so they came out. They bought a house in New Mexico, moved me out there. By that time, after doing that much time in the juvenile system, me and my dad were butting heads, so I left the house. Started running with a different crowd, started selling some weed, and found myself in the county jail multiple times. And then eventually ending up going to the Department of Corrections in New Mexico.
And what was the case that led to you going actually to the department? Was that a weed case or?
It was armed robbery, aggravated battery, and kidnapping over weed. Someone had robbed me someone robbed me and I robbed him back. Okay. Is pretty much what happened.
Okay. So with that situation, how much time did you end up doing for that?
I got 10 years. And I did 5 years, 8 months, which was 1,827 days in prison.
Okay. So what was that journey like as far as, you getting in there in the system like that, having to deal with that type of time and that environment?
That journey was a trip. There was no more firearms, so it was more, the hands were up. It was you were smaller. It was a dangerous place. I mean, I first went to a level 2 facility. I had so they gave me my sentence was a 1 to 10 with a 5-year cap, and so so 5 years would be the time that you got in prison. You ended up spending 8 extra months over there. As long as you're doing 5 and under, they can send you to a level 2 camp. And so I ended up going to a level 2 to start off with. Got in trouble over there, kicked up some dust. Ended up getting a misconduct report. We brewed hooch or whatever one night. Got locked up. And then they shot me over to Santa Fe level 2. I cut some hair over there for a little while, and then got into a fist fight over there. Then they shot me over to a level 3 in Las Cruces. And that's where more, prison relation came in, more politics, more guys doing heavier time. And
so you went in where you could have got out in 1 to 10, and then you ended up doing more time. You could have got out earlier.
So I signed a plea bargain 1 to 10 with a 5-year cap, meaning that they cap it out, so they gave me 10 years. I would do 5 on probation after I did 5 in prison.
Okay.
So the 1 to 10 with a 5-year cap, it's a state thing that they do.
Okay.
And so the armed robbery held 9 years. The firearm enhancement was 1 year,
Okay.
and they ran everything else concurrent with that. So coming up with the 10 years.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're now in Las Cruces. You're doing time there. I mean, what'd you do to occupy yourself? What was your form of rehabilitation while you were in there? What was your daily schedule like?
You know what I did, man? Honestly, I was really good at cutting hair, and so I picked up the clippers and I started cutting hair, and I really started building a name. Like, my haircuts were so good in prison that the guards started walking by and they were like noticing the cuts, and I had a sergeant come sit on my chair and have me cut his hair. And so I cut his hair, and then ever since then, COs were sitting in the chair. I had somewhat different of a prison stay, in the sense of, when I was cutting a lot of hair, I had a lot going on.
So that skill set, it seemed like it allowed you to open up doors even in prison.
Oh, you know what? That skill set allowed me to open up doors in prison. It did. It allowed me to bridge a gap between the police and the inmates in a way. Just saying, in the sense of I was cutting inmates' hair. I was also cutting police hair. I had integrity in the sense of, and look, if the inmates were like, "Hey, brother, go look and see whose name's on the UA list," I didn't do it. And I didn't do it cross the other way either. I didn't go tell the cops what was happening in the pod. I mean, so, you truly built a pretty solid name amongst yourself cutting hair in prison, without a doubt.
Did you have to deal with a lot of blowback from, inmates who maybe were jealous because you had these relationships with the police in there?
That's what landed me the fight in Santa Fe. I got into a fist fight in Santa Fe. I was cutting the cops hair. I had a really sweet gig going. I never snitched on it. Everyone knew I was really solid. And then some homie rolled in from a 3-yard, and he took issue with that. And so, and then, he used a word that I didn't like, and it was only cracking, and I broke him off decently, and ended up going over to Las Cruces level 3. That's what got me out of the level 2. Look, so when I started off in Los Lunas, just to kind of give you a thing, when I started off in the first level 2, like, we brewed hooch and got in trouble. It was a real kickback camp. As soon as I got there, it was like I got there didn't get into the pod till 9 o'clock at night, and I'm walking in and fools are cutting hair in the middle of the pod, radios blasting, fools are smoking weed, and it was a party.
Damn.
It was elite. When I showed up there, I was like, damn, this shit is cracking. I was like, this is...
Middle of the night, 9 o'clock at night, everybody just...
9 o'clock at night, dude. I never imagined that, because I came from an elite county jail. Shout out to the West Side. And they grabbed, so they're all, go ahead and get a cart, get your ID, and go back to your dorm. And when I went back to the dorm, it was 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, everyone was up. Damn. And I recognized a couple faces, so it was like they knew I was a barber, and, and then I moved into a room with some homie, and then, he was a tattoo artist. I was a barber in the prison. It was really rolling sick, because the county jail was we had it locked down. So when I got over to that prison, it was a milder version of our county. It was really nothing. And so we got there, turned it up. I cut hair. We were killing the game, but we were also brewing hooch. He was tattooing. We got caught with the tattoo gun. We got caught with hooch. Everybody got drunk and everything. So they shipped me out they kept him on the compound, and he wasn't a snitch or anything. They kept him on the compound. They did I wouldn't call it a separate tease like you guys do, but they just said, we'll get rid of Baca and shoot him off. He's the problem. Okay. And so they shot me off to Santa Fe. As soon as I got to Santa Fe, I picked up the clippers and became famous with the police, started cutting the Secretary of Corrections hair. They drove me off of the compound onto a place called Central Office, and I built a barber shop. Damn. Started cutting the cadets' hair. It was unreal.
Wow.
And I had such a tit job, dude, that when I went back to the unit, there was this homie, there was this piece of shit. And so, I won't mention his name. I'll save him and so he, Anyway, long story short, he showed up to the compound, thought he was from Hobbs, thought he was hardcore, that he was this and that, and so he took issue with he was jealous, dude. So he right away he's like, oh, you're cutting the hey, Holmes, this and that. So he was like, whatever. And then he tried to get loud one day, and I broke him off, and that was it.
So did you originally pick up that skill set in prison, or were you cutting hair on the street before you got to prison?
I picked up that skill. I had cut hair for our friends on the street just out of the blue. Went over to Long's Drugs one day, bought a shitty pair of clippers, and I cut all the homies' hair on the street. And then so when I went into the county jail, I tried to pretend that I was a barber. And I was like, I'd claim, oh, I'm a barber. And so, I started cutting hair in there. And then I started becoming really good.
Yeah.
And had a passion for making people look good and feel good. I was the first black barber. Shout out to Chauncey Johnson. That's the only person I will shout out from Clovis, New Mexico. And he was the first brother that sat on my seat. And so I cut his hair.
Yeah, because, a lot of people don't know, like, barbers are pretty prominent on the compounds because people, even though you're doing time, guys like to have good haircuts. So as you have, build that reputation, it does allow you a lot, certain privileges, and people respect you and stuff like that. So, it is a great trade in prison that you can take and build on when you get out. How did you utilize that skill set as far as in prison to help you transition once you started, before you, got out and decided to start your own hustle?
I really grew up mentally, and I said, hey, man, I don't want to sit here amongst these guys anymore. No knock to the guys. I just don't want to be around them anymore. I grew up. I want to do something good for myself and for my life. So I knew I had a skill with cutting hair. Unfortunately, at the time, I did not know that it paid. And I went into mixed martial arts when I got out. I thought I was going to be in the UFC. That didn't pan out. So I ended up getting my barber license. There was a dude in jail, Little Venom from the West, that ended up saying, hey, do you know about a program named DVR? It's a rehabilitation program. And what they do is if you have any disability, they'll pay for something like a barber license or any kind of trade. So at the time that I was failing in the martial arts, the cauliflower deer, I stayed at Greg Jackson's. My last fight was in 2012 for King of the Cage. It just wasn't going anywhere. Your age was getting there. And then I had guys in there saying, well, you cut all of our hair. You're like a celebrity barber. You cut all of the UFC guys. I don't even need to name them anymore. Everybody already knows you do all their hair. And so it's like, they're like, why don't you cut hair? And that's when I really started thinking, well, dude, I wonder if that is a thing. And then by luck, I had a homie that owns a barber shop in Albuquerque that called me. And when they went to the UFC, my buddy Diego was on a UFC card, and I was on parole, so I couldn't go out of town. And they came in and said, hey, man, do you want to come work at the barber shop for a couple of days while we're out of town? And I took his spot in the chair, and I loved it. And so I was like, I want to get this license, man. And then I thought, Little Venom said DVR. Let me just type it in and see. And I Googled DVR. And then and it came up, and I was like, oh, wow. And so I called the program, and the program said, yeah, if you have a disability, we can enroll you. I didn't have any disability that I was able to claim other than being a felon. So what I did was I said, wait a minute, PTSD, if I get a medical marijuana card, will have me be able to get into the program. I'll be able to qualify. PTSD is a disability. Mm-hmm. So I went straight over, got my medical marijuana card, enrolled into the program, and ended up receiving funding. And as long as I got straight A's for every semester, they would continue to cut a check. And wow. I graduated as a master barber.
Wow. That's great, man. I mean, you don't really hear a lot of those rehabilitation stories and how you actually took advantage of an opportunity rather than getting caught up in the politics. You created a business plan in there. So, with that, coming out, cutting hair. So did you, you eventually got your own spot?
Yeah, so I eventually, I got out. I ended up graduating with the DVR program. I got my license. I signed out of the DVR program and ended up furthering my education, paying for it on my own, and getting my instructor license. I will open a school soon, but not for another year. And then I opened up Sir Men's Salon, which is a men's salon, upscale barbershop, bridging the gap between traditional barbering and salon culture, where a dude can come in and get, maybe a more high-end hot towel shave. Mm-hmm. White dude can come in and get some sick styling or whatever it is they want to do. And I built that shop, and that business has been thriving ever since.
Now, prior to you getting into that in prison, did you ever imagine that you'd be doing that, before you went to jail? I mean, because it's obviously you always had that talent in you, but you were, doing other stuff, caught up, running around, selling weed, doing all this other stuff. Did that ever cross your mind, or what was the one of the biggest things, like I say, contributing factors that kind of like push you in that direction to where you thought above and beyond just what you've seen around you with these guys in prison just kind of hanging out?
I mean, I just saw that there was a lot of drug use and it just wasn't the direction. I'm not 21. I picked up my crime at a young age and suffered, a little bit of time for it. I didn't want to carry on with that. I wanted to be a man and grow up and be an adult. And I felt like it was childish to carry that on. Like, it was cool to do that, but I kind of grew up, dude, genuinely. And then I said, I didn't know barbering was going to be a prevalent thing. I was trying to do the mixed martial art thing, but then, those guys were kind of preaching in my ear, like, well, you're cutting our hair in the gym. You're much better at that than you are at the MMA. And so, I ended up, being able to, luckily, there was a program that funded my license. I don't know if I would have been able to do that if there wasn't that program. But just the mindset switch was me growing up. And everybody should sit out there and realize, hey, dude, cool, it's funny and cute and it's cool to run over there and you did this and that. But at the end of the day, what are we really going to do? And what are we going to be known for? And what are we going to contribute to this world before we go? So I want to contribute a little bit of something at least before I dip. I mean, and being able to express myself through my art and it makes me feel good, number one, to be able to create a haircut that someone enjoys, a haircut that someone likes. And it's, I get enjoyment out of it. We charge $55 plus tax. So, I mean, you get paid. Look, I get paid to cut my friend's hair. It's like, so I really fell into the passion of that.
Well, shout out to Venom for even putting you up on game to go get that program. And, I know there are programs out there if guys are looking for it, because I know as far as, like you said, the disability. A lot of guys, I forgot how many months, I think after you do like 9 years, 10 years, you're automatically considered mentally disabled. So you can qualify for a lot of programs, even though you're not crazy.
Yeah.
But you can qualify because, like you said, PTSD is real. You can go and there's programs out there. I know a lot of times the counselors in prison aren't telling you about them, but you got to do your own research. They're out there, and there's places where you can get different skill sets and it allow you to build a career like what you did for yourself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And having that strong mindset, and I actually had a great mother who, stuck by my side mentally and has, answered the phone calls. And I didn't ask anyone to come see me. I'm not a big visit guy. When I was in there, you know what I mean? I did the crime. I just sat there. I didn't really want people to see me in that situation. Mm-hmm. So, but, I had a great support network. The mother helped me out a lot mentally and just, I believed in myself. And look, if I could do it, I really preach that anybody can do it. Look, I'm over here coming to see Big Herc. I'm staying at the Beverly Wilshire. I'm flying first class. I never imagined that would happen. And that's by no mean a flex. I'm the poorest guy you'll ever meet. I just, it feels nice to be able to, do something different and express yourself. And I like it. It feels good. Positive.
Well, it sounds like more than anything, it gave you a sense of purpose. Like you said, you put a smile on people's face. When you put on clean clothes, you got a good haircut. You're helping that person with their confidence. There's a lot of pluses there, and whenever you're contributing something like that to people, I think it's a win-win on everybody's part. And that's the thing is like finding that that area that gives you. A purpose, like you said, you get up now, you look forward to going to the shop, you look forward to your clients, you look forward to offering something to people, and that's what makes a difference.
Yeah, build something you can look forward to, guys, and you can, whatever you like to do is probably something you can get paid to do, because it's probably your passion. So it's like, don't count yourself out. A lot of the reoffending I noticed was because they don't have a second option. Mm-hmm. I run a fair shake program now. I got a couple of inmates. Shout out to Riot, who's in the USP in Florence, Colorado. Shout out to Little Venom, who calls me still, who's in Texas, who just calls now. And I run the fair shake program, and what that does is has them be able to come out, knowing that I have a little bit of a shelter for them. I could go through their parole paperwork with them. These state guys, let them know there's 18 sections of probation. Let's not violate with any of these. Let's get you into DVR. That way we can right away get you working so you have something to look forward to. Because if you have something to look forward to, the likelihood of reoffending really isn't. We don't have a lot of criminals. We have a lot of guys that committed a crime and they've been imprisoned. They're not genuine. They don't. A lot of them don't necessarily. They're put in the situation to somewhat reoffend.
And what are some of the other programs in the DVR that these guys could get involved in? I know you said like there's Barber. What are some of the other stuff that trades these guys can do once they get out?
Trades you can do, guys, metal work. You guys can do plumbing. You guys can be a barber. You want to be a nuclear engineer, you can do it. I'd highly advise against that because you have a felony. So I'm just saying.
Security clearance.
Yeah, so it's like you don't want to go try to get into a job you're not going. I'm not knocking you. I'm sure you can build an isotope and do all that shit. But you're not going to, probably won't get the job. So I'm just saying, let's be realistic and with yourself, and you can go the entrepreneurial route where you could be a plumber and make tons of money. Any trade, period. DVR, if you're in New Mexico, will cover, and I think they're in California as well.
Okay.
They're a state-run program, though, so they might not be. Any trade, welding, anything, guys, you could build. My structure that I built in my shop, meaning that I'm open so many days per week, and I have 55 plus tax, and then I'm doing 10 to 15 haircuts per day, is a structure. And you can build that same structure in any type of way with even with a plumbing business. So, I mean, now you've opened a plumbing business. Johnny's going to sell lemonade, but he has, beautiful Hawaiian women dancing on amazing lemons, and he's, show some integrity. Anybody can do anything. Look, America's been a great place. They're allowing us to make it. I've noticed that the felony really wasn't a holdback for me. I don't want to carry a firearm. I don't need an expungement. I can get one. I don't really see that I need one. I'm proud of what I did. I'm, proud of everything that I've done and become. And
well, you turned what would appear to be a negative into a positive, and your outlook on life is different because, like you said, you are doing something that's adding value to the community. What would you like to, share with any of the people watching, that maybe you're looking for some type of direction? Is there anything you'd like to add to
I'd like to add, never let your past determine your future. I'm a great example of that. Never let that past determine that future. You can do anything. It doesn't matter what your past is. There's no time like the present to go ahead and move forward and change. And if you don't want to change, I've built a structure called redirecting energy. And it's what I did, guys, because it was really hard for me to change. I'm not that great. I redirected my energy, placing myself in situations and having situational awareness about where I can be, where I shouldn't be, and to compartmentalize that program for myself to succeed.
And how important would you say is the friends that you keep around the company you keep?
I would say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I'd say, Herc, you nailed it on the head. It's the most important thing that you could ever do is that. I'm glad you brought that up. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You're the lump sum of the 5 people you hang around with.
Yeah.
Keep hanging out with Solo from Westgate and see where you end up.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, man, that's a hell of a story, man. And to take what you did in prison and to scale it is impressive. And for people who want to go and check out your shop, what's some of your social media links and how can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm Thomas Baca Barber on all platforms. The name of my shop is Sir Men's Salon. And you can Google us. You can do anything. We're on I have a monetized YouTube channel, so you can find me everywhere. Thomas Baca Barber, Sir Men's Salon is the shop if you're interested in what we do.
Okay. Big Herc 916, Thomas Baca, fresh out. We do it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, represent.